Hi everybody, thank you for tuning in to another video on TK's Tech Corner. Today we are going to be looking at another case for the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra. Now, for those of you watching my channel, you may have seen my last couple of reviews for the Tab S8 Ultra cases, and one of the cases here that I reviewed was Samsung's official protective standing case, which is I think absolutely fantastic and probably one of the best cases available to date for this device that I've tested so far. And I also did a review of the keyboard case, which comes in two parts here. It comes with the keyboard and it also comes with the kickstand. Now, the kickstand can be used alone. It sticks onto the back of the case with these strong magnets and it stays on there quite sturdy and firm. And then the keyboard you can effectively attach on and off as you please. So you're probably wondering then, if I've got the keyboard case here and I've got the protective standing case here, why on earth have I got this thing here? So this case here, this Spigen Thin Fit Pro case, is described as a 2-in-1 functioning case. Now, when you look at the keyboard case, you might think yes, but it does the same thing. What is the difference? The difference here is that this case, when it's standing, is hopefully going to protect the bottom of the tablet and the device all around in general, as does a protective standing case. But when you want to use it in a keyboard mode, this thing is apparently fully compatible with the official keyboard cover, and that works by removing this bottom portion here of this case, so that you can effectively attach the keyboard, and assume you can leave it attached, so you can use it in laptop mode or you can use it in tablet mode by attaching that little piece. So we'll go ahead and just open it up and we'll just do a comparison. We'll compare it for size, weight, etc. I'll describe what I'm experiencing, and hopefully, if the purposes of you buying this case, I'm just going to reduce the exposure a little bit because my camera looks a bit too bright to me. I do apologize if there's slightly poor audio today. I've got an issue with my microphones that I generally use for recording. So if the audio is a bit unclear, I do apologize in advance. So let's go ahead and get this out. So there it is. This is the Spigen Thin Fit Pro tablet case for the Tab S8 Ultra. Bit of paperwork there, which we hopefully won't need. And there it is. So first things first, I'm noticing that this case is extremely light compared to this case here. So this protective standing case, the official one, as I said, it's built like an absolute tank, and it's the purpose of this thing is really to protect the tablet while standing or using it in a standing sort of tablet mode. And believe me, it is going to do that because it really is built like a tank. It really is a lovely case, but it's very heavy. It probably weighs about half as much as the device. So when you're adding it onto your device, it really is adding a lot of bulk and weight to what is otherwise a very sleek and elegant tablet. And that's where I noticed the difference with this immediately, as this is light. Now, from an overall weight perspective, it's definitely not as light as the back portion of this keyboard standing case. This is definitely, so the keyboard case, the back part of it, which you can, again, use standalone, also has a kickstand, is the lightest of the three. So from a weight comparison, if you're looking at which one's the lightest, it's this one. So things to consider when you're looking at which case to buy is, if you want the keyboard, yes, you are going to get a standing case with it free anyway. And if you're not really bothered about protecting the edges of the device and you'd rather have the elegance and sleekness of the device on display, and you're not worried that, you know, when you stand it up, the bottom is completely exposed and it is touching the surface that it's standing on, it might get general wear and tear type scuffs. It might not get severely damaged, but it might get some scuffs. If you're not really that sort of person that's bothered about, you know, a few scuffs on your device, then I'll be honest, this is probably all you're ever going to need, because it shows off the whole device. It's very, very slim. It adds minimal bulk to the device, and it does offer a very, very good kickstand. And this flappy panel here that you can see effectively protects the pen once it's on the back in the charging mode, and it effectively does the job it's supposed to do. When you want to plug the keyboard in, snap, away you go, right? This thing here is protecting the edges of the device all the way around whilst this bottom part is attached, and at the same time, whilst it's protecting the edges of the device, it's not adding a lot of bulk to it. It still has the kickstand, which we can see at the back here, and we'll just compare the stick kickstand in a minute, but it does have a kickstand, which initial glance or feel suggests that it is quite stiff, and it does definitely allow you to move through all the angles like the other ones do, which is great. So it's not like it's clicking into any positions. The kickstand is definitely strong, which is good. This thing is a lot lighter, but whilst your device is standing in this, your edges are protected and the bottom of the device is completely protected. So you're putting it onto a rough table, or maybe some dirt or something sharp there that might scratch your device. With the keyboard's back portion of the cover, this one, this is not going to allow the device to get scratched. It's all plastic. The back feels very nice and soft. So it's got a soft rubberized finish at the back there, so definitely a soft touch finish there, and it's already attracting some dust, as you can see. But a soft touch to the back, and all of your device's edges are protected. And for the buttons, there's some plastic button covers there effectively, so you can see a rocker cover for volume and the power button there, and cutouts for the speakers on both sides, as well as a cutout in the middle for the USB-C / charging port. So that is that. And on the back, I'm just before I get to the pen holder, I'm just going to compare the hinges, right? So let's see how far back this folds. I'll compare it with the other ones as well. So this thing, wow, this thing folds all the way back pretty much. As you can see that there, if I push it all the way there, that's as far as it's going. This folds, I can guarantee you, and I'll show you, this folds further than the two official cases. So this goes all the way back, and when it's leaning like that, it's got a very slight angle up from the table, and that's probably a very nice angle for you to write on. Now, bit of flex in it there, it is flexing a little bit, but once you've got your hand on it and you're writing, that's probably not going to be bouncing up and down too much anyway. Let's just go ahead and compare that to the protective standing case. This, I believe, bends the least, so you can see that there. That's how much that's going back. It's not going back any more than that at all. Then let's look at the stand case that came with the keyboard cover. This will go back as well, but not as much. So you can see that there. Maybe if I put it like this, it's going back a little bit more than the protective standing case, but still not all the way back. And this one easily outweighing the competition. This one is going back all the way. So if you want angle of adjustment, this is offering you more degrees, right, of adjustment versus the other two. Now, one thing I do notice is when I'm bending it, the hinge is so stiff, and it might be because it's new, that the plastic cover at the back is flexing a little bit. And I don't get that with the protective standing case. Now, that's probably because the device isn't in it. Once the device is in it, it's not going to be flexing as much, I hope. But time will tell. We'll find out when we plug the device in there. Other thing to note with the kickstand, I suppose, is the hinge. So does the hinge lump out? Now, in the case that comes with the keyboard, you can see the hinge does lump out a little bit. Does that cause any issues? No, because when it's laying flat on the table like this, this pen cover here effectively acts like a little stand. So it does actually pitch the tablet up very so slightly at an angle anyway, which is quite nice. And it does stay stable. It doesn't rock around when you're using it, which is nice. The protective standing case, however, because it is very bulky and that hinge is superb on here, it's completely flat into the actual case. So you can see that there's no lump out whatsoever, right? It's 100% flat. But then again, there's a lot of meat on the back of this to protect the tablet anyway. Probably still my favorite case. And then the new Spigen case, if I fold this all the way back in again, we will see again that there is surely a slight lump in the hinge there. And I think this one protrudes the most out of all of them. So that is protruding slightly there. Okay. So there you go. That is the hinge. I think there's probably nothing else to say about the hinge other than the fact that they're all very sturdy. One thing I did notice that's probably worth mentioning about this the stand that came with the keyboard case is when it is standing up, because the device is quite weighty, when I'm pushing the volume and power button, It does move up and down slightly. It's not a deal breaker, to be honest, but you know, the protective standing case is rock solid. It does not move when I'm pressing the power or volume buttons. This one does bounce up and down a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how the Spigen one performs once the device is in there. So then, what is it that separates these three cases? I think the main thing is this, right? So I use a tablet a lot for meetings, and I don't use the keyboard all the time, though it is a very, very nice accessory to have, especially when you look at the quality of the keyboard, the travel, the response of these keys is absolutely fantastic. It's backlit. It's effectively a full-size keyboard like you'd get on a 15 or 14-inch laptop, and a nice big trackpad, very, very nice clicky or feedback response on the trackpad as well, and it does support gestures and etc. I've been using it. I have used it, and I've used it for RDPing on as well. And once you're RDPing to your machine, you got a keyboard like this, you actually think you're on a Windows laptop. It is that good. So it's really, really useful. And I would like to keep on using it, but not with the case that it came with, because it does not protect my device. And I love the tablet. I do not want it to get damaged at all. So that's where something like this comes in, right? Because effectively, I can remove this bottom panel here, as you can see. It removed quite easily because the tablet's not on there. I don't know how easy it's going to come off when the tablet is on there. Time will tell, we'll find out. But once that's off, the idea here is this will go on there, this will clip onto the tablet, and it does look like it's going to fit perfectly. I can use this with the keyboard whilst having all the other edges of the device protected. When I'm done with the keyboard, I should effectively be able to slide this back into place. How easy it's going to be, I don't know, but I should be able to slide this back into place and carry on using it in tablet mode, again without having to remove the whole case. And the idea there is that when it's in tablet mode, again, the bottom of the device is protected. So you can see the way it's kind of clipping in there, I suppose, to the edges. It's clipping in there. It's got these three bits here, which is effectively keeping it from sliding out easily. And once it's in place, it just looks like a normal part of the cover, right? You kind of forget that this bit even clips off. I don't think it's going to be falling off very easily. In fact, I think it'll be the opposite. I don't know how easy it's going to be to remove that when it comes off. So let's go ahead and actually get this case on my tablet. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this now. If you watch the video with the keyboard case, you've seen me remove this once before. It was an absolute pain to remove. Now it's going to probably be a pain to remove it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and try and remove this. What I did last time was I pushed on the corners and then I tried to pry it off, and it did work, but it was just very, very difficult to get off. If anyone knows an easy way of getting this case on and off, please leave a comment in the comment section below and tell me how to do it, because for the life of me I can't find an easy way of getting this thing off. And as we talk right now, I am effectively struggling to get this thing off. So I'm just going to try and bring it closer to myself, see if I can get some leverage on this, and I'm pushing through the camera lens, and that's the only way I've been able to prop that corner out. So effectively pushing through where the pen holder and camera lens is here, and that's how I've managed to get the tablet out from this case. And I think that's how I did it last time. But as you can see, right, this thing, once it's in, it's in. Right, and there's the tablet. This case is absolutely gorgeous. I love this case. Thank you, Samsung. Just going to put that aside for now. I won't be surprised if I'm coming back to that again. I'll push it aside for now. And there is a tablet. You can see it's very sleek, very, very slim. I think it's like 5.5mm thick. It's got a nice weight to it. It's gorgeous. This tablet is absolutely beautiful. Very, very useful for me. So we're going to go ahead and try and clip it into this new case now. Now, I don't think I need to take the bottom off when I'm putting the tablet in. It should just slot in, hopefully. And hopefully not as difficult as the other case. And as you can see there, that's gone in without too much effort at all. And this is not relying on any sort of a magnetic system. Similar to the protective standing case, this is effectively gripping the sides of it, of the device, all edges of the device, and it's holding it in place. So immediately I can tell you this definitely feels slimmer and lighter than the protective standing case. It doesn't feel as good from a quality perspective. The protective standing case has got this sort of rubberized finish all the way around. It offers a lot of grip for what can be quite a heavy tablet when you're holding it for long periods. This is, it's this is just plastic. It's not even like a soft touch rubber, it just is just pure plastic. It feels cheap, unfortunately, is the only way of describing it. This is nice and rubberized, and it's got that texture on it, which is really offering a lot of grip and protection and support for your very expensive device. I'm just going to go ahead and move that aside. So let's go ahead and look at how it stands with the kickstand. So again, kickstand is definitely very, very stiff, which is good, and that feels quite sturdy. It's got a bit of a bounce in it, you can see that there. So when I'm trying to press the power button, it's not so easy to press that. It is bouncing up and down. I'd have to hold the device and press the power button like so, and then it's on. And once it's on, I suppose it's fine. And as you can see, it folds pretty much all the way down, almost flat. And I could effectively, I'm going to try with this is my S Pen for my note here, but it's working, as you can see, or the original pen that I've got here as well, which is working absolutely fine. Now let's go ahead and look at the pen clip-in mechanism. So a couple of things with the pen, right? First thing is, this case is a lot thinner. The pen would probably clip on here a lot better. And yes, it does. Does it? Does it? Yes, it does. Oh, nearly. No, it doesn't. So one thing they didn't think about was when they put this little lump here for this little rubber thing that keeps the keyboard in place once it's folded over, this lump is almost stopping that pen from clipping in or attaching magnetically to the top of the tablet where there is a magnet, and it would otherwise stay in place. So that's a bit of a shame. Spigen, you missed a trick there. If I do it this way, does it stick? Yeah, it does, but it's not very strong, to be honest. Again, another downside, that's one downside of the protective stand case, which is this case here is so thick that the magnet hardly holds the pen in place, to be honest. So you're relying on the back of the case to hold the pen into your tablet, which it does do a very good job of, by the way, and it's not very easy for that to drop out at all. In fact, you've got to work it out when you're trying to get it out away from the tablet anyway. And this case here offers a similar mechanism to hold the pen in place while it's charging, where you can see the back of it is very, very similar to the protective S Pen case. They've probably ripped that design off, I suppose, but it's a good one, so why shouldn't they rip it off? It's got these little pegs that effectively hold the pen in place. Messed up the cutout there a little bit. Look at that there. See that there? The cutout is probably a little bit longer than it needed to be, but there we go. Can't all be perfect. So this, I think they've done it for a reason. I think they've done it to allow you to slide the pen out, by the way, so maybe it's a good thing. The pen does slide out very easily when you just push it back like that and you can get it out. A bit easier to get the pen out of this one than it is to get the pen out of this protective standing case. You've got to fight with the pen a little bit more on this one. So there you go. Once the pen is in there, it will just be charging, and it's held in place by a magnet and these two clips here, and that isn't going to be going anywhere, I can assure you of that. And if I press the button there, it probably also, if I unlock it and press it, there you go, you can see it's 100% charged. So it shows you that it is connected absolutely fine and it's in the right place. On that note, talking about S Pens, the case that comes with the actual keyboard, it's got this flappy panel here that folds back, and then you can effectively fold it back and just slide the pen off the back of the tablet. To be honest, this is quite nice. I think in terms of ease of access of the pen and protecting it whilst it's in transit, I think this one probably offers the best solution. Though you have to deal with this lump on the back, which again acts like a tiny little stand to prop the tablet up at a nice angle anyway, isn't a big deal. I think from a pen protection perspective and from an accessibility perspective, this is probably the nicest. And again, because this case has no edges to it, the pen does magnetically connect to the top of the tablet very, very well, as it should do, as it's designed to do. Okay, so let's have a look at the actual the main feature of the case, which is, does it allow the keyboard to attach? Now, me pulling this stand back doesn't make an ounce of a difference, because even if I pull it back, I can't access this panel that's supposed to clip on and off. So that's interesting, because it might come off easily, but it might not go on very easily, because you effectively got to stand it on end like this and try and slide it in between the case and the tablet, which probably isn't the best design Spigen, it would have probably been nicer if you could make it magnetically just clip onto the bottom of the device, because the device does have a magnet on the bottom of it. So you didn't need to make this thing clip on like this. You could have made it magnetically attached to the bottom of the device. If you're watching this video, Spigen, please make an alternate version of this case which just magnetically clips on. Now look at this. Look at the pain I'm going through to remove this thing. What is supposed to be a 2-in-1 type case is a 2-in-1 type case. It really is, but it's not without its flaws. So finally, I've got the bottom part off, and you can see it there, that the bottom is fully exposed. I've still got a sticker on the tablet there, and I should now be able to attach the keyboard without having to remove the case. Now let's have a look. Yes, okay, so that's a good sign. The keyboard has attached 100% in the right place there. No issues whatsoever, and I can prop up the stand and I'm back in business. So that's quite nice. I guess whilst you're using this case, you've just got to make sure that you don't ever forget this thing, because if you do, then you effectively lost half of your case, or you've lost a useful part of the case, because when you take that keyboard off, your bottom of your cover, your tablet's exposed, then what's the point, right? So you want to make sure you keep this safe. It's plastic. I don't know how long before that breaks, to be honest. I must admit, I'm not thrilled at the experience of taking that off for the first time, and it's going to be interesting to see how difficult it is to get back off in a minute as well. But from a does it do what it says in the tin perspective, yes it does. It definitely does. It supports using the keyboard cover 100%. So another important thing is if you decided to keep the keyboard on whilst you're in travel, or in transit, can you? Does it close properly? It looks like it does. So this magnetically attaches to the tablet, and it attaches quite well. It's not very, very loose. You can see that there, right? And yes, it does. It's keeping it on, so it's not flipping open, which is good when I'm tipping it to the side. And in addition, what it's got is it's got this little rubber band here. Now this just folds over like that. Now the idea of that is to just offer some additional support for the keyboard so that it doesn't accidentally get flipped open once you're in transit. So that is definitely going to keep the keyboard in place. Nice little addition, and it doesn't get in the way when you're using it, because it folds away to the top or all the way to the back, and it's completely out of sight, out of mind. You forget it's even there, but when you got the keyboard on, just flip it open and you're good to go, right? Not a bad thing. I wonder if there's any use for this with a pen. I wonder. I don't know. Not really sure. I doubt it. There we go. And then you pop it open. Due to the magnetic sensors, the screen turns on when you open the keyboard, and away you go. You're good to go again, right? So there it is. The keyboard is fantastic again. If you haven't seen the review I did of it, go ahead and watch the review. You've got a bit more of me messing around with this, I suppose. Going into DeX mode, I can fire into DeX mode, and I'm getting something that's closer to a desktop experience, I suppose. And it's a fairly nice one. It's not Windows. It's not a full Linux desktop environment. It's not as functional as those is, but it definitely does get the job done. That much I can assure you of. So there you go. Now what I'm going to do, because I should do it for completeness, is I am actually going to remove the keyboard cover, and I'm going to try and get it back into tablet mode, because then I've completed this review, I think. So you can see now I'm in tablet mode, and I want to protect this, right? How easy is it to clip this back on? So you've got to get into this little groove here. So getting it into the groove is not very difficult. You've got to make sure that these hooks here are going on the inside and not on the outside. And there's one on each side. Is that going to be fiddly? Maybe, maybe not. There's one that side, one that side. Now they're inside. So once they're in, what am I doing here? Am I just pushing this down? I think so. Yes, okay. You know what? That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was more difficult to take off than it was to put back on. But getting that back on really wasn't a problem. I effectively put it into that little slot, line up the edges and push down, and it actually just clips straight in. So I guess the getting it off is going to be one thing where you just get used to after the first few times of doing it, maybe a bit of a learning curve. Other than that, I think this case is doing what I would hoped it would do, which is allow me to benefit from using the keyboard when I want to use it, and for the 80% or 70% of the time when I'm not using the keyboard, offer a nice stand experience and protect the device whilst I'm carrying it around. And also, it's lighter. It actually is it's not as light as the keyboard stand, the back cover, but it is a lot lighter than the protective standing case. So I think on that note, I can probably give this a good run and leave it on there, unlike the other one that I just took off after the video and after the first 2 days and went back to my protective standing case. I think this one is going to have a longer run on the tablet, and I'm going to give it a good run and see how it performs, see how it works. I will carry the keyboard around with it and see how easy it is to effectively get used to this thing where I'm trying to prop it on and off. Now, another thing with this one, because it folds so far back, I don't know why I'd ever want to do it, but you could do it. You can actually stand the tablet upside down as well, and obviously the screen will auto rotate. Maybe you want the charging port on the other side. That's probably a good reason. It'd be a bit silly because you wouldn't be able to access the power and volume button so easily. The camera would be on the bottom, so you'd probably get you'd get an up the nostrils view. If you're video calling someone from the camera at the bottom, they'll be looking straight up your nose. Point to note there. But otherwise, I think that concludes this video. From a comparison and review perspective, we've talked about the attachment for the pens. We've compared how all three of them differ. From a protection perspective, we've compared stands, we've compared the hinge protrusion, and I've tried to describe as best as I can how sturdy the stands are. These two cases have a bit of a bounce. The protective standing cover has hardly any bounce whatsoever. Once it's in stand mode, it's got a very, very stiff and sturdy stand on it. And I think that's pretty much it. So build quality wise, yeah, this unfortunately feels like cheap plastic, because that's exactly what it is. Unfortunately, it is cheap plastic, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break. It's clipped, it's clipped around the tablet. It's definitely going to protect it from knocks and bumps. So it's going to do its job. So if you were trying to decide which case you should buy out of these three, hopefully I've given you some pointers that help you make a decision. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching. Take care and all the best.